Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Powles with Charles Inner Nicola. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 18. Today, we're going to do a Meet the Zor. For those of you who are watching in real time on either of our Facebook channels, feel free to put comments in there or questions if you have them for our guest, Jamie Cecil from Brady's and the Brass Tap, who we'll welcome in a second. And if any of you want to have fun at home, just go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe, and you can see all of the videos. You can also see just how much my COVID hair has changed over time and just how little Charles's has changed as well. So, Jamie, welcome in. Thank you for spending some time with us. Would love for you to kick things off with positioning. What's going on with the brand? What's the update right now? What are you feeling good about and optimistic about? State of the brand.
Sure. Well, guys, appreciate the time. Hi to everybody out there. We FSC, we operate two brands currently. One being the Brass Tap, which is a kind of upscale 60 tap craft beer bar with a little bit of food and drink. And then Brady's, which has been around since 1985, which is a family-oriented, community-oriented sports bar. Both concepts, actually, Brady's is actually doing real well. But, I always tell people it's kind of funny. If I would have told somebody at the beginning of the year that we were down, we're down 8, 9, 10% in sales, everybody would be like, "Oh my gosh, you better get your resume out there." Right now, it's like, "Oh my gosh, you're only down 8, 9, 10%. What are you doing?" So Brass Tap is taking a little bit of a hit because of, a lot of states are shutting down bars, unfortunately, but the bars that are open are doing well. And Brady's is flying right now. It's doing really well, considering everything that's going on.
Jamie, I don't know if you're having conversations now with franchisees as they come on board, and what are the conversations like right now with Brady's? And really, as you reflect on where the brand's been through COVID, your pathway ahead, what are the conversation points with franchisees? What are the things they really should know? And the real opportunity with Brady's and really where you guys are going as an organization?
Well, the conversations right now are kind of all over the board. We have a couple of things, with kind of trying to find new franchisees. We've started doing virtual discovery days. Traveling right now is brutal. So we're doing virtual discovery days, which is something that we've never done before. That touchy-feely, actually going into a restaurant, meeting the executive team. As everybody knows, discovery days, those are critical times. So doing them virtually is a little different for us, and seeing how that plays out. And then once you get done, having signing deals with them, then they're looking at going, okay, do I do this now? Do we wait? And you've got to be we're very patient with people now. Now it's not the time, and never really is, especially in this business, for hard sells. They're going to do it at their own pace, and they're going to sign on when they're ready. But we're going to be there to answer their questions, walk them through how we can support them during this time. Now with current franchisees, when this thing first hit, we, as an executive team, we all got together. I never will forget that Monday when it all went down, and we had meetings every single day after that about nothing but COVID. Everything was changing. Everything was in the air. Franchisees were calling left and right, and then the PPP loans hit. How do I apply for that money? What do we do? So I'm really proud of the support that we provided our franchisees during that time. We have an FAC with Brady's and with Brass Tap as well. But the FAC for Beefs was extremely. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you guys! I can't believe the support you guys are providing us." They were, they're parties of other brands, they're franchisees of other brands as well. And they're like, "We're not getting the support you guys are providing to us." We had daily announcements going out, what's going on, because as you guys know, things were changing literally by the second when this thing first came out. So, we were there answering questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, we got a lot of our franchisees the PPP money, and helping them through that was I think real instrumental in getting us to this point today, and making sure that our brand is strong and able to survive those difficult times.
Jamie, I appreciate the line of, laying off of the hard sell, but if I said I can put you in a time machine and go back to the start of COVID with a $10,000 check to invest into Zoom or into anything that sells anything for the home, you would take it in a heartbeat. Right now in franchising, unfortunately, and I get the mindset of the buyer that, well, we're looking for indicators of when is the right time to do this. But if we go to franchisees of, let's just say, the end of 2021 and say, hey, we're going to put you in a time machine where you can go back in a time when real estate is completely disrupted and have the shot, if you've chosen to go into the restaurant business and have a shot to buy into a brand that survives a data point where I think it was Yelp that's saying 60% of those businesses that were listed as closed in COVID are now permanently closed. So brand validation is there, down a little bit, but that's okay. People are still finding a way to make money or get by. And you go back in this time machine and say, Mr. and Mrs. Franchisee, go back to right now. Then you not hard selling. Like, if you are hard selling, you're like, guys, you got to understand, it could take you a year, it could take you longer to get this restaurant open. Don't you want to buy it now?
Right. No, exactly. And like, hindsight's always 20/20, right? So it's I guess my point about the hard sell is not going, oh, hey, you have to buy now. We're definitely bringing those things up because there are real estate opportunities out there. Second generation space. We're doing a lot, and we're seeing a lot come across. I've got a director of design and construction, and we're working on several projects right now where we're going in and taking second generation space and converting it to a B4 Brady's or a brass tap. So those opportunities are definitely out there. My point was not to pressure someone, because everybody's different, right? Some people are a little more cautious, so pushing them may push them away from your brand. But we have a franchisee right now in Texas. He's getting ready to sign his second and third lease for spaces, and these are going to be conversion spaces. So my point was just you've got to read each person, and not being there, oh my gosh, now's the time to do it. If you don't do it, you're going to miss out and you're going to regret that, because everybody's a little different throughout this process.
Yeah, I love the focus, Nick, on because everyone remembers 9/11. You remember, for us, we're in New York City and devastation in downtown Manhattan, real estate prices cheap. Then you see the growth there. Then you also seen in response to that growth in other communities. So if we learn anything, is that right now we're probably over indexing toward the pandemic and the social, and I mean, it's life has become strange, right? At my son's graduation, and it's, you go from months ago to now where you're wearing masks. And I think Nick's points about, hey, there's a lot of brands that are not going to make it. They're going to disappear. I think, Jamie, your point about second generation space, there's opportunity. If I have to put a bet, I'm going to bet we're over indexing now toward this. Opportunity opens up because there's just going to be, unfortunately, brands that don't survive. Right. And I guess that's the space right now for a strong team like yours, which is to come in and say, hey, not only we have the team, we have the game plan. And as we navigate the next couple of months, there's opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And, one of the things that we're looking at, with this second generation space is, being flexible, looking at how can we incorporate what was there into kind of make it fit into our brand now. And we've been able to do that on a couple of projects, which, we have a director of design and construction that his bosses does a great job for us. So, we're able to look at those spaces where if we didn't have that service, and again, that's a great service to the franchisees too, that they can go out and find these spaces and say, hey, look, I know my franchisor will be able to kind of work with me on this, to make sure that we can get in this cost effectively and take advantage of the opportunity.
Jamie, I would love from a personal standpoint, for you to answer this question first, but obviously you're Florida based, and Florida is getting just hammered with new cases per day, and you can put that in quotation marks or not. There's probably some data that backs more testing equals more cases. So there's some of that. But from a personal standpoint, is there any complexity on how you're able to keep your mind straight? Because you're in a job where you really have to look at the bigger picture. You're talking about development for the end of next year. The pipeline that you're building is into 2021 and 2022. How are you keeping your head in the right mindset and not letting distractions from the media impact you personally too?
Well, it's and especially in this role, you have to have a positive outlook no matter kind of what's going on. And it's very easy to get caught up in all that stuff. But again, you just got to separate yourself from it and say, look, this too shall pass. All these other swine flu and everything else, we got through all of that. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we have to be prepared and ready to take advantage of it when this thing clears, because it's going to clear. We're working on, everybody and their mother's working on a vaccine right now. Mask, when people weren't masking up, it appears to be working. So again, it's just, now is, when this thing first hit in March and April, it was, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. But again, what I'm seeing with Beef O'Brady's, with the sales that we're still able to do, and the opportunity that's there, it's a good time to be a part of Beef O'Brady's, because we're, that value and community component that we have in the brands is really paying off for our franchisees out in the field.
Jamie, one of the biggest things I think when I have conversations, and everything gets political, so I'm not getting political at all. But the one thing I do note is everyone views a decision of shutting down as a binary decision. We shut down, we get better, and life moves on. And no one realizes the impact on the business owners, in this case, the restaurant owner, franchisees, the landlords, the employees, the staff. And so it's not this basic choice that everyone's facing. From a human standpoint, what are you seeing when you're faced with these issues with your franchisees? Like, what are some of the things they're talking about? Because I don't think enough people truly understand what it means of, hey, we just need to shut down. And what again, no matter what side of any aisle you're on, this shouldn't be a political discussion anymore. Because I feel like as a nation, when we shut down all these businesses and restaurants, it's a unifying event. We did something together to create a result, and now it's turning into politics. But I mean, from a human level, like someone who doesn't get it and says we should just shut down, what are they not seeing? And how do you reflect on that with some of your franchisees?
Well, I think the biggest thing people are missing is the investment that these franchisees make in their business. You're looking at a Beef O'Brady's or Brass Tap that costs $800,000 to $1 million to open up. That's hard money that someone's had to put on the table. They've signed a lease to guarantee it for X amount of years. This is their livelihood. This is their children's livelihoods. This is their wife, and everything's on the line on this thing. So, when you talk about, it's very easy when you're sitting in DC to say, oh, let's just shut everything down. Well, you're not shutting down your job. You're shutting down these guys and girls, their ways of making a living. So there's more to it than just shut it down because it doesn't make it. That's where the disease is spreading. You've got people that have made hard decisions to spend a lot of money, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in these things. And I mean that's I owned my own restaurant for a while down in South Florida, and it is you're married to that business, and when it's yours, it's your baby. It's what you put everything towards, and it's very difficult when someone tells you can't open up your business and support your family.
Jamie, I'm gonna make an analogy, and I'll frame this up as best I can, but I'm putting the asterisk on the front of it that what I'm gonna say is gonna be complex. Okay, so if you take the baseball season right now, every team's gonna win 20 games and every team's gonna lose 20 games. It's what you do with those other 20 games that is gonna define whether you make the playoffs or not. In business, in franchising, it's almost the same, because you get to this baseline of sales that is automatically going to happen by you just turning on the lights in a business, and call that the winning the 20 and losing the 20. The franchisees that come in here and do something with other 20 are the ones that end up being the ones that are creating multi-unit portfolios, or adding more units, or finding a way to find even more happiness within their unit. My feeling is two major things are going to happen with due diligence as we look back at how did brands operate. One, what was this baseline like? And what I'm hearing from you is, down 10% is better than majority of restaurants out there. So that means the baseline on Beef O'Brady's could be seen as stronger, and the bulk of the restaurants are in the Southeast. And therefore, you put that indicator on here. Now you're talking about an area of the country that is getting wrecked right now from COVID cases, and still being able to navigate these waters as a restaurant brand. I believe that due diligence is going to adjust in that category. And then on the support category, it's going to, as much as it could have been how brands outperformed everybody else in COVID support, it's going to be a check mark. Like, did a franchisee feel supported, yes or no? So long-winded statement framework to say, do you think due diligence changes off of this, that we do look at regional performance, baseline sales, average unit volume for a system during COVID, because it almost evens things out, and for the due diligence? Or is there anything else that you see changing?
No, I for sure. I think you're going to see kind of a pre and post COVID kind of deal from a sales standpoint. And I think the biggest thing people are going to come out of this with is, how did you help support your franchisees going through this? What did you guys do as a brand to support the franchisees? Because, again, if something like this happens again, the franchisee is going to want to know that their franchisor is there to support them and walk them through these difficult times. Because it's not, it's not like when this whole thing hit, it's not like you can break out the playbook and go, oh yeah, remember we went through this back, we did this, and this. I mean, everybody was kind of writing the script to this thing. Yeah. And, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I really think we did it great. We created a really phenomenal playbook. And again, I only can say that because our franchisees were telling us that the support we gave them was great. But yeah, I think it's going to be, you got pre and post COVID for sales. And then it's going to be like, you guys, I've watched several of the webinars you're talking about, marketing now is going to be, okay, on your website, kind of a COVID-19 tab. What did you do to help your franchisees?
Yeah, I think the negative is the COVID and the shutdowns. And I agree with your point of view, which is the positive being how we react and how we improve going forward, right? Yeah. That's the key marker. And it's great to see, and see what's happening and talking about playbooks and the focus. What we do know is we don't know what to expect. So now that we're all trained to thinking this is life, I got news. Something's going to be flipped very quickly. And it's either going to be an economic engine that roars back, and the brands that don't deserve to thrive and grow are going to die. And the ones that are supporting and focused the way you guys are is, there's going to be big opportunity. I think, yeah. I hope. And if there isn't, if your team's doing everything right, Jamie, and there's not opportunity for your brand, that means we're dealing with much bigger issues as a nation. And then we all have issues.
No, exactly. And it is crazy. I gotta put a mindless plug in here. Through this, so we've got obviously Beefs and the Brass Tap. We're actually working on a third brand right now. We're actually running a ghost kitchen. It's a concept called the Hatchery. We actually invented it in-house. It's a fast casual chicken concept, chicken sandwiches, spicy, grilled, and chicken tenders and nuggets. And it's our brick and mortar site's supposed to open on August 26th here in Tampa. We actually took over an old Ruby Tuesdays, and we're putting a brass tap and a hatchery in the same building. But we're running a ghost kitchen right now with the hatchery. It's delivery only, and I can't tell you the success we're seeing out of that thing just by we're just marketing this thing through social media and knocking on office doors around here. It's crazy to see the demand that we're getting for this thing. So I'm excited to. Obviously with beefs and brass tap are doing well, but I'm excited for the future for FSC to see what this hatchery is going to produce for us. So it's just a mindless little plug there for a third brand that we're working on.
Jamie, if I don't think that's a mindless plug. I think ghost kitchens were coming online, and it's like anything else, COVID accelerates the future. So I mean, I'd love to even just in the future, just do a session talking about ghost kitchens. I mean, we're seeing it with our clients, massive opportunity. And there's going to be some players that consolidate power here in the ghost kitchen space.
Yeah. I think, like we could have, we were talking earlier, could Brady's do or Brass Tap do a ghost kitchen? Well, Brass Tap's a bar. So that'd be a very difficult to do a ghost. I mean, we do have a little bit of food at Brass Tap, but it's not, we get the majority of the sales are through alcohol. But I would say a ghost kitchen for Brady's, that's possible.
Yeah. And Jamie, I wouldn't discount, and you almost brush over some of this stuff, but you think about some of the business things that are in place. You have leadership that includes someone that's been a franchisee. So that probably helped you on the playbook side because he's walked a day in the shoes of what it's like to be on the other side. You guys have figured out how to operate the widget. Therefore, doing a hatchery makes sense because you already built expertise on how to successfully operate restaurants. You can look at being down 10%. I do think another due diligence piece that's going to be talked about more is the break even, because down 10%, franchisees can still find a way to make money. And making money during COVID in a full service restaurant is not it's unheard of. So there are some really good stories that are happening between your organization that I think will help validate this thing going forward, that the widget ends up being irrelevant, whether it's beefs or it's Brass Tap or it's the hatchery. It's going to be how is this team behind us? And we've noticed this through these discussions that franchisees rarely talk about the strength of product as the reason they bought. It's about the people that are behind it and the believability that they got their back. And clearly this is another great example of it. And the last thing that I'll say is congratulations, Jamie. You are the first one to quote something that's been learned from these conversations. So glad that you've been paying attention.
Hey, glad I could remember the quote.
Jamie, Cecil, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Stay safe. Look forward to hearing more about what your success looks like in the future.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Take care.
Take care.